Thank you so much for coming back to another video, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Ex Machina. David from Interpreting the Stars is back once again here on my channel. A big thanks to him for being here in this video, and as usual you can find the link to his channel down below in the description box. Last time that he was here on this channel we actually did a random rambling here together on my channel, and for those of you who do not know what that is, I have a series of videos that I recently started called Random Rambling, where it's essentially just a live stream podcast discussion kind of thing, and I'm having various guests on, and David was one of my most recent guests. And the reason I bring that up is because we actually talked a little bit about Ex Machina in that live stream, and when I said the title Ex Machina, he was like, oh, is that how it's pronounced? And he went on to tell me that he actually said Ex Machina in the review that he sent me for this video. It's been a little bit over a week now since I've had this video prepped to go, but I got held up doing some other things in life. So here we are talking about it now. I thought I would mention it now. He does know how the movie is pronounced now as far as the title, but you know, it doesn't really matter because they never say Ex Machina in the movie, but I figured I'd say it now before somebody decides to be a keyboard warrior down below. So we're going to hear from David in just a little bit, but a big thanks to him for being in this video as usual. And let's go ahead and get into our thoughts on Ex Machina. So Ex Machina is written and directed by Alex Garland and is a film that for me is almost perfect. This has to be one of my favorite films from the last 10 years and easily one of my favorite sci-fi films of all time. This is a film that is incredibly well acted, incredibly well shot, incredibly well directed, and it's just a clever, great sci-fi film that has great characters. It's got a nice, self-contained, very small and claustrophobic story and setting, while also allowing the narrative to be bigger than you really would expect it to be. It is incredibly well written, and it's one of those films that you feel like as you go throughout the course of the film and you're watching, you're learning more, and the entire narrative expands more and more and more as we learn more about what's going on. And the beginning of this movie, we're introduced to Domhnall Gleeson's character, and yeah, really thoroughly enjoy him as an actor. I've always really liked him, but yeah, he's super great in this film. And he plays this guy who ends up winning this contest that was going on in his business that he works for, this corporation he works for, where whoever wins this contest gets the opportunity to meet the CEO of the company, who's played by Oscar Isaac, and is going to be in some way, shape, or form kind of involved in some sort of new technology that Oscar Isaac's character has invented. So I should also mention that they work for some sort of tech company. They don't really ever get deep into what it is. He ends up being dropped off via a helicopter in this grass field and pointed in the direction of where he needs to go, and that's where he comes across this house, this big millionaire mansion house with tons of windows in the middle of the forest, in the middle of the woods, and it's just this really beautiful house in this very beautiful location, but it's very isolated. And that's where we're introduced to Oscar Isaac's character, who plays the CEO, this very charismatic while also being kind of quirky and weird kind of character that Domhnall Gleeson's character ends up meeting. And yeah, once he gets there, he finds out that the reason he was actually called in, the reason he won this contest, what he's going to be doing is that he's going to be part of a Turing test. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what a Turing test is, that is essentially when a human is doing a test with an AI, some sort of robot, to test how intelligent the robot is. And the idea of the test is that you kind of want to be fooled as a human by the AI. If the AI can fool you into thinking that it's a human or not really being able to tell the difference between a human and a robot in that situation, then the Turing test was a success. So that's what this movie is all about. You have Domhnall Gleeson's character, who is now introduced to this new character named Ava, who is this really impressive looking robot who has human features like a face and hands that are human-like, but at the end of the day it's just kind of a skin. It's really just a robot, this AI, this incredibly intelligent robot. And yeah, that's what the whole movie is really all about. You have Domhnall Gleeson's character now, who is in these really over-the-top intelligent discussions with this robot that he's trying to learn more about, and she's trying to learn more about him, and Oscar Isaac's character is watching over this entire experience. And over the course of the film you start to uncover things and learn things that are kind of going on here, some creepy things about some elements here, and it just sets the movie up to be a very claustrophobic, incredibly well acted, very tense and engaging film that uses dialogue in such an incredibly engaging way. This is a film that, though it's a sci-fi film and it has robots and all that jazz, it's not an action film, though there are action elements at certain points in the film. For the most part, this is a drama, a thriller, a suspense film that really has you thinking. And you, as an audience member, are also on the Turing test. There isn't really a lot of negatives I have about this film because on a visual level, it's incredibly well shot. It's incredibly well done as far as the CGI goes, even though it's very brief. The performances in this film are just top notch. Oscar Isaac plays this really, really great character that you just don't know how you feel about him throughout the course of the film. You don't know if you should trust him. You have Domhnall Gleeson's character playing the main character who you're rooting for him throughout the entire film, but you're worried for him at certain points. And then you have the AI, Ava, played by Alicia Vikander, and I think she does a great job playing this AI. I really thoroughly enjoyed her as this character. The small movements in her face, the way she would say lines of dialogue, the movement in her body, she does such a great job of having that robotic feel and look to really sell the fact that she is indeed some sort of cybernetic organism. But what I really enjoy about that is that she never really feels like a C-3PO or like a, over-the-top, very robotic moving kind of thing. She does feel very human at times, and I really thoroughly enjoy the adventure across this Turing test, across the entire film. And like I mentioned, as the movie goes on and by the time the movie ends, you realize as an audience member that you too are also part of the Turing test. And I think that that was an incredibly clever thing as far as the writing when it comes to Alex Garland. I think that he created one of the most cerebral and just well done sci-fi films of this modern generation, and I couldn't praise this movie more. Now, I've gone on and rambled enough right now about the movie. Let's go ahead and hear what David had to say about this.
I'm back! What's up, everybody? I'm back on Anthony's channel where he has asked me to check out Ex Machina. First of all, not a corny Disney Channel movie, but a bona fide, highly revered film? Color me impressed. I saw this movie about a year or so after it first came out, and I never really did a real review for it. I wrote down maybe one paragraph about it on my website when I did written reviews, and that's it. Needless to say, this film has been on my watch list to check out again at some point, and this was the perfect opportunity to revisit it, to really get my thoughts out on it. So huge thanks to Anthony for pointing me in the direction of this film. I'll try to keep my thoughts on it short since I feel like I could go off on a long disquisition on it. Let's get cracking. This review was brought to you by the word of the day, disquisition, a long or elaborate essay or discussion on a particular subject. I consider myself to be a considerable fan of robot films. They all feel similar yet different in a lot of ways. I, Robot, Bicentennial Man, Alita Battle Angel, I Am Mother, Transformers, Terminator. They're just fun. Whether they're this massive action film about evil robots out to kill you or something much more subdued and dramatic, there's always something remarkable to find in this world. With Ex Machina, I think the main thing that stands out about it is the concept of the Turing test. I was talking to Anthony shortly after I watched the film, and without getting too deep into why or how, the existence of this film itself is a Turing test that the audience is participating in. You feel certain things, expect others based on the fact that you're human, which isn't anything that you can help. So if certain things happen in the movie based on a calculated, almost cold or soulless design, it feels weird to you because most other movies wouldn't do it this way. It's crazy what this movie actually does when you actually stop to think about it because it's insanely smart. More than that, this is a beautiful film. The first thing that you'll probably notice is the immaculate cinematography and editing. This world in this movie is so vast that it's towering, and yet it's so confined that it sometimes gives you claustrophobia. The characters that Domhnall Gleeson and Oscar Isaac are playing are characteristically opposites. Domhnall is playing this average guy that can't help himself but talk about things in a very technical fashion, while Oscar Isaac's playing a genius who is clearly smart in every technical level, but his outward personality is that he's trying to be an average guy that doesn't want to talk about technicalities. He just wants to chill, have a beer, talk generalities. I love the mirroring going on in that because that allows this machine, Ava, to become the middle party. The confusing, mysterious things going on in her head is every bit what makes this film work. Because you don't know what's truly emotion or manipulation, what's truly intelligent or what's by design. We naturally question what we see because any other movie in the world would be throwing twists and turns all the way through, and this is a very subdued movie that's mysterious but doesn't really give you the answers until maybe the third act. I'm actually having difficulties finding any faults in the film, even minor ones. Even when it comes down to the dialogue, this is a very dialogue-rich film. Yeah, there's all this science fiction-y stuff going on, but a majority of the film, there's just two people talking, whether it be the two humans or the man and the machine. There's a ton of dialogue, and all of it makes you think, meaning that the film is also deeply meaningful. I could honestly go on and on about these little things in the film that make it stand out. But with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about my final score for a second. So, when I score movies, some people know this already, some people don't, but I have a grading scale that goes over 6 primary categories, and each of these primary categories have like 5 subcategories each. And this is a weird case where almost all of these categories were scored exactly the same. The people, writing, behind the scenes, and narrative categories all got 9 out of 10, which means that my unbiased technical rating was 90%. It's also similar for my bias score, but slightly different because apart from this film constantly making amazing technical choices, it's also trying to make your head spin, which goes to the bias score. So that's actually 96%, averaging out everything to a final rating of 93%, 93 out of 100 possible stars, or an A-letter grade. This movie's honestly kind of crazy. The first time that I saw it, I was more focused on those technical things that it did. I thought it was a really good movie, but my score was actually lower than this because I think certain things didn't work as much as they did for me on the second viewing, now that I can think more about the implications of why filmmakers do what they do. And that's actually really important for this movie. If you don't sit there and think about the whys, some things might not work for you very well. You'll enjoy certain things here and there, appreciate others, but in order to fully appreciate the film from beginning to end, I think you gotta put your thinking caps on. Once again, thanks Anthony for inviting me to your channel. I always have fun over here, and to everybody watching, make sure that you hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to this video, because all that stuff goes a long way, and Anthony deserves it all. And until next time, I'll hand it back to you. Peace out.
As usual, a big thanks to David for being here in this video. My friend, I always have a great time having you in these videos and hearing your thoughts. You broke down this movie beautifully, man, and I really thoroughly enjoyed the way that you reviewed things, and I really enjoyed the way that you reviewed this one and the way that you broke things down. It pretty much seems like we're on the same page here. This is an incredibly well shot, well acted, well directed film that just keeps you on the edge of your seat. It uses dialogue in these moments between characters to really show you that you don't need things that are overly flashy and in your face to create a very compelling narrative. This is a movie that, kind of like what you said, is very small in scale, very claustrophobic at times, but the narrative allows it to be so much bigger than so many movies are in this day and age. I do thoroughly really enjoy this film, and I do highly recommend it. As for negatives, there are a few moments that I found to be a little bit slow, but that is a nitpick just to kind of throw some sort of negativity in here. I think that this movie is incredibly well paced for the most part. I think it's incredibly well shot, incredibly well acted. The special effects, when used, are incredibly well done, and they're seamless. You never feel like you're seeing anything that feels out of the tone of the film. I think that the movie itself really sets itself up to be a very unique sci-fi film, and I don't think enough people have seen this movie, quite frankly. So if you're a fan of sci-fi, if you're a fan of Oscar Isaac, Alicia Vikander, Domhnall Gleeson, I highly recommend checking out this movie. This is a movie that I think shows us exactly what sci-fi can be and should be. I think this is a movie that takes sci-fi to another level, and it's just incredibly cleverly written. And I just have to mention also that the ending is just so well done. I really thoroughly enjoy the ending of this film. It's one of those endings that leaves you feeling emotions for characters and what's going on. You're not necessarily happy with the ending of this film, but it is so cleverly done that you can't help but feel like the ending makes perfect sense for the movie and the way it had been set up throughout the course of the film, through the dialogue and the events of the film, led up to exactly the way that this film ends. I think this movie is incredibly well done. I think it's incredibly clever, and I highly recommend it. So I think I've been a little bit rambly in this video. Sorry if you guys feel the same way, but a big thanks to David for being here in this video. You guys can find the link to his channel down below in the description box. Go give him some love. I've been away from doing my reviews for about a week or so now because I've just been caught up with a lot of things, but I'm going to be catching up on these reviews that I have coming out very soon. So a big thanks to you guys for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button down below. It definitely helps the channel out. Comment your thoughts if you've seen this movie, or if you're interested in this movie. I definitely would love to hear you guys' thoughts. Again, David from Interpreting the Stars. Go give him some love. Subscribe to his channel and subscribe to my channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.